Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to LSRTV's Friday night doubleheader right here on iRacing Live. And we're going to get it kicked off right here for the Michigan International Speedway with round number 9 on the 2016 Roddcar Truck Tour campaign here at Brooklyn, Michigan's Michigan International Speedway. We get set to take on MIS for 62 laps of NASCAR action this evening, and we're happy to have you with us as always every single night here on LSRTV, and quite the booth through topside with you, myself, Evan Prozoko, joined by Andy Kessler, Austin the Coop, and from the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series, Josh Ball, LSRTV's producer Cisco Scaramouche as well, down the stairs, getting everything rocking and rolling tonight, Andy. 62 laps at MIS. It's not a Daytona, it's not a Talladega, but in these trucks, it sure as well races like it. These guys not going to be using the brakes much at all tonight unless we're talking about pit stops. Basically, that right foot's going to stay down, and you're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, you absolutely are. I mean, the draft is going to come into play here on the straightaways as well. But then when you get into the corners, you're going to see some guys trying different lines, especially as the race goes on, as the rubber gets laid out onto the track. You're going to see guys towards the bottom. You're going to see them up towards the middle and even on the high side there. So a lot of racing room when you go through these corners, and a lot of different, lines that these guys could try to gain speed on the guys in front of them to try to catch them. But it is definitely one of those places with the draft. It's fun to watch a truck race here. And typically you can get pretty spread out too. So we have usually some long green flag runs when you come to Michigan as well. So we're in for a good treat here tonight.
And by the numbers, again, 62 laps, 124 miles around this 2-mile D-shaped oval. Austin, it's not that long of a night when you look at things in retrospect. We're going to get underway here. There's not a lot of time for guys that find themselves deeper in the pack to work their way up to the field, so these restarts are going to be very crucial for these guys to get after it, but especially the fact that you're going to be hammered down, especially early. The truck handling, though, is going to go away as the run goes on, so although it is going to be the drop of the initial green flag, and we'll say you got 62 laps, take it easy, it really is key for a lot of these guys to get up and go right out of it.
Yeah, they're only turning about 40 seconds per lap, so, I mean, if they play their cards right, this race could be well done before an hour, and so, you know, with pit stops, I think they'll at least have to take one pit stop with that being considered. With that in mind, yeah, there really isn't a whole bunch of time to get up to the front if you're in the back. You're going to have to really ride on those restarts and maybe even try the very top of the track because, you know, at the bottom of the track or, you know, go to the very bottom of the track, you got to try at least an extreme if you're in the very back. I mean, and the start's not a bad time to do it either. I think the starts and restarts are going to be some of the most pivotal points of this race because once you get on a long green flag run, it's kind of really finesse style racing at this track.
If you were with us 1 week ago, we take a look at the SimHQ Motorsports last week's results. Casey Malone won that one at Dover with Seth Merchant, Christian Peterson, Frank Basilia, and Kyle Manger inside the top 5. So Malone's got 3 trips to victory lane on the season, Josh. 2 wins apiece for Seth Merchant and Christian Peterson. Stephanie Lesentine as well, 1 trip to victory lane. Only 4 winners, though, through 9 races. I think it's almost uncharacteristic out of the batch of drivers that we're taking a look at. Who do you think is going to be the next driver to get the victory lane?
Well, if we're looking at those guys, Peterson, DeMerchant, and Malone, all those 2 or more wins this season, they're sitting on the top right here, qualifying right now. Peterson, DeMerchant, and Malone, the top 3. So, unfortunately, tonight might be another one of theirs. But you know, Ryan Pilen, Corey, and Henry has been racing pretty good. We've seen Mark Jorgensen get close a lot the last couple weeks and just fallen short. But tonight's going to be very interesting on these on the restarts and on the start of the race. We got there's a lot of grip. You can full throttle around here just like Talladega and Daytona will be doing later. So you're going to see a lot of passing or attempted passing here in the beginning starts of the race, and then if we get any cautions or restarts. So it'll be very exciting up front.
So we're about set to drop the green flag. As Josh just mentioned, the qualifying session about done. These drivers give it 5 minutes and 1 lap of single truck runs to set the field for tonight's Michigan 124. And with that, the clock strikes 0, and the driver's now going to hit the pit lane and get tonight's round number 9 of 2016 truck action underway. So let's take a look trackside at your iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series Roddcar Truck Tour starting grid. Christian Peterson, good enough to hold it early, good enough to hang on. A 39.180. bested his best lap at a practice session that also had him at the top of the board there, is going to get him to roll from pole position tonight behind the pace car. Seth the Merchant will start second, and as we mentioned, Casey Malone will start in third. 1, 2, and 3, the drivers who have the most wins on the season. Ryan Pyland, he'll start to the outside of row number 2, P4. He's searching for a trip to victory lane. So is Corey Henry, who will start on the inside of row number 3 in P5.
Starting 6th tonight on the number 7 truck, that's Rodney Wofford. Frank Busilia will start in the 7th spot. Mark Jorgensen Jr. in that 88 will start 8th. 9th goes to Josh Hanner, and Brandon Monsevice will roll off in that 10th spot.
Rod Flagg will start 11th. Ryan Keiss will start 12th in that number 24 car. Sean Boundy will start 13th. Mark Emery will start off the grid on the outside row of 7 and 14th. And Ramon Evans will start 15th.
Derek Walker is going to roll out 16th tonight. The number 33, Larry Camp, will be 17th. Glenn Hedrick and Ray Rittenauer the second will roll off 18th, 19th. Those are the last cars that took time. Then we got 3 starting in the rear. Brandon Chaburko, Jose Ramirez, and Tony Fenn will all line up 20th through 22nd, but did not take a qualifying attempt.
The 3 provisionals going to make it a 22-truck grid possible, and it looks like most of all of them are on the grid, with the exception of Tony Fenn, I believe. So 21 drivers get set to roll tonight from Michigan International Speedway. Let's talk a little bit about this racetrack. A 2-mile D-shaped oval sister track, if you will, to Fontana's Auto Club Speedway, Andy, and that basically is the reason why we're going to be hammered down all the way. These guys could pretty much keep the pedal to the metal at some of the intermediate racetracks, the 1.5-milers. You give them 2 miles, you give them a little bit more space, and you give them 20 cars worth of draft. It'll be fun tonight, and I think that this is one of the races, one of the tracks really, where the trucks are a lot of fun. It's always nice to drive here in a B car, it's always nice to drive here in a Cup car, but I think the little bit of a slower pace that these trucks run that allows these guys to stay on the gas all the way around here makes it one of the more exciting tracks for these guys that are going to have on their season.
Oh, absolutely. And then you got to factor in also, as the tires start to wear out, these trucks can get real tight if they stay on the throttle, so they got to actually burp it through the corner. So that'll be fun to see, too. Who's got it daring enough to hammer down even late in the run there, and sometimes these trucks will even see them get a little loose coming off the corners as well, especially if they run close to that white line down at the bottom, because that white line, once you get down close to that, the banking really goes out from off the racing surface, and it can really upset the handling characteristics of these trucks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Usually about 1 groove off the white line, that's where you'll see the guys, at least on the bottom, running.
18 degrees of banking through the turns, 12 degrees across the start-finish line, and 5 degrees down the back straightaway. It is surefire to be one of the more exciting races I think we're going to be in store for in 2016. It's just race number 1 of actually 4 on the evening, but we're happy that you're joining us right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. The pace car going to make that sharp left-hand turn down to the wayside. Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant, the 6-man motorsports guys on the front row. Green flag flies and racing at MIS.
Good start by all these guys here. The top 8-10 guys now all still double file as they head back into turn number 1. A slight advantage on the bottom for Christian Peterson, and I think you'll see him be able to pull away like he does right there. He'll get that top spot as Casey Malone drops all the way down to the bottom. He's battling hard for that second spot now as Peterson drops down to block him right now. And they battle still side by side for that second spot and on back through 10th.
There's some really good racing going on in the back already. We had 3 wide at the start and into turn 1 and even at a turn 2. It's all sorted itself out, but we're still 2 wide, and as we see a 3 wide and go for about 3rd or 5th right there. It's some good racing right there on the bottom with Josh Hammer. And oh wow, they touch already on lap 2.
And they're not shying away for the contact. That was the 10 of Hanner who went to the inside, and it was Basilia stuck in the middle. They did make contact on the inside and the middle. They'll double file them out at a quarter number 2. The battle for the race lead, it's a team battle, so they're not going to go side by side quite yet. Peterson and Merchant, they push all the way down the back straightaway and try to pull away the battle for second. A good move. How about Corey Henry? Started P5. He'll slot into the number 3 spot, making a pass on the 52 of Casey Malone.
That was a good move right there by Corey Henry, and that's going to bring Rodney Wofford into the mix as well. That's going to move him up a couple spots. Start at 6th on the board right now, sits 4th. as he gets around Casey Malone heading into turn number 1. Still a lot of action going around that 10 spot there, around 3 wide there just for a moment there with Josh Hanner in that 10 truck. Last season's truck champion, and it's good to see him back in the series. Haven't seen much of him at all this season, so good to see that 10 truck back on the racetrack, and he's hoping for a good run here tonight. But those top 2 are starting to pull away now, using that draft to their advantage off of turn number 4, and they're going to have about a 6-7 truck length lead right now over that 3rd place running Corey Henry.
I'm still watching the number 10 car. He's moved up about 3 positions. He's going to get a bit of a bump into turn 1, and he's just taking that guys, bit by bit, and he's got the outside run, I think, right here. He's going to pass the 11 car here. He's really getting up there, and I mean, watch him, guys. He's really coming up the field here.
A lot of action still deep in the pack. The battle for the race lead, like we said, is starting to become non-existent because the teamwork amongst the 7-1 to 32 allowed them to get away, but Seth the Merchant jumps out of line in the middle of 3 and 4. We'll go side by side at lap number 4. Down to the inside of the racetrack goes Seth the Merchant. The 71 will ride the middle groove, and it'll be the 32 at the start-finish line, leading his first lap of the evening as lap number 4 comes to the books, and he'll have the inside position into the quarter. So he'll be able to get clear, put the target Chevy to the point now. 5 laps in. Peterson with a little bit of a lighter entry. He'll be able to power it off the quarter. Not enough to challenge those, so we go to DeMerchant P1, Peterson P2. All of that still in front of Corey Henry, who continues to sit P3, but a change for position for P4, Rodney Wofford. Since gotten around Casey Malone, moved the 7 up, and now Malone, fallen 2 spots in the opening 5 laps, is back in 5th.
Yeah, that 7 truck of Wofford's been doing a really good job coming through the field here, and like you said, up to that 4th spot. And he hasn't moved many as far as the track goes. He, only have 2 spots since the start of this race, but he actually fell back on the start, being on that outside lane. Lost about 2 or 3 positions to some of those guys on the inside, but since then, looks as though he's been just about the fastest truck on the speedway, because he's continuing to close in on these top 3 right now, as Corey Henry is also starting to close in on the top 2. So when they weren't bump drafting up front, they're actually losing some ground right now, and the rest of the top 4 are starting to close in on the race lead off of turn 4.
Now that we've really kind of spread out, you're going to see a lot of 2-driver battles. And once we get these 2-driver battles, and there's quite a bit of them, and sometimes a couple, 3 or 4 car battles too. But once they get side by side, oh man, I think we're going to have some really interesting racing coming here soon. I'm really looking at that second pack though, the 94, the 41, those drivers, and the guys behind them. I mean, we're watching some patience going on too. I saw some guys let other guys in, or just really let some other drivers have the corner. They're really doing a good job of being courteous out there. But I don't think they're going to be that courteous once they realize that getting up to somebody's bumper and passing them is extremely difficult in these corners.
And that battle that you were talking about 2.5 seconds right now off of the top spot, and it's actually a good 3-way battle if you want to talk about Casey Malone in the mix as well. I mentioned the 52 a couple of times, and so far not for the best reasons. He has fallen since the start, only 2 spots, not all that bad. But if he continues to slip and slide just a little bit, Ryan Pilot might want to try to make up a spot. He as well has fallen 2 spots. P4 to now P6 behind. Frank Basilia trying to get up and on the wheel and get going. A couple of bigger movers still not quite cracking away inside the top 10. The top 9 all started inside of the top 9 so far in today's race. The big movers you'll find deeper in the pack, like a Derek Walker or even a Brandon Chaburko, who started deep P20. Now he's in 15th, and he's all over the back of Derek Walker to turn 1. That's an aggressive drive to 1.
Of course, that's an aggressive drive. We expect nothing less than that out of the 3 truck, as he now looks to the inside. And you can see as this run's gone on, we talk about this all the time, Josh, as the 11 truck actually gets in the wall right there. This is where you'll start to see these tires start to wear, and you'll see some of these drivers who are maybe being a little conservative in the opening laps. You'll start to see them really start to get. Oh, we have contact in the back there. Off
He's going around. He's going around.
And it looks like we might have a caution. We might not right there, but that was a close one, Josh.
He'll stay on the pit lane. It doesn't look like we are going to see a caution. Josh Brotlands for Brandon Monsivice, though. It all started on the inside. The 75 just absolutely lost that truck. That's Josue Ramirez. Hard hit in the middle of the corner. The 75 got straightened out by the outside fence. Monsivice came sliding back down into the inside wall. Went all the way around, but that was off the surface. So no yellow, and tough break for both of them.
Yeah, and it looked like he just got loose down there. I mean, he got loose and then tried to overcorrect real quick, and unfortunately that knocked both of those guys at least out temporarily down in the pits getting repairs done right now. But you still got good battles all over the racetrack. It's really the first time we've really seen that anywhere on the track so far. We did have one other truck in the wall off of 2 back there a lap ago, but I think that was the 11 of Mark Emery is what everybody was pointing out. But yeah, so far good battles throughout the track. You know, people, like you were saying, saving up some tires a little bit maybe. See a couple guys that went right up to the front to begin with, like Mark Jorgensen, now starting to fall back to about 10th place. So using those tires up early, maybe not the greatest strategy. So we'll see once these guys get at least one pit stop done if they, you know, change their strategy up or not. But so far so good for everybody out there.
And again, no yellow from that one, so we stay green up at the front of the field. It is going to knock both Monsivice and it is going to knock both Josue Ramirez off of the lead lap. The number 75 machine, 1 lap down stationary in the stall getting service, and Monsivice 1 lap down because he was already basically on the pit lane after the spin. So both of those drivers are off of the lead lap. Ray Rittenauer is the only driver really at risk of being caught by your leaders. Santa Merchant closed it in on him, still up at the front of the field. Ryan Keese, the next driver, coming to life. The Keese Graphics 24 Chevrolet. He's picked up a couple of spots the last couple of times around. Hanner, Jorgensen, some of the names in that discussion. Moved the number 24 up to 8. Jorgensen not rolling over, Andy. He's all over the back of him, using that draft to stay there, trying to find an opportunity to maybe break to the inside.
This is a part where these two guys really need to just stay in line like they are, catch those guys in front of them. Then that'll allow the 88 to actually pull to the inside, possibly get around them and utilize that draft of the guys off in front of them. So it's one of those racetracks where you almost have to be partners with guys just to catch up to another pack and then move your way from there, especially if you're a lot faster. So a veteran like Jorgensen, I think you'll see these two guys, Ryan Keese as well, you'll see them work together like they've been doing right here, and you can see them closing that gap on Frank Busilia now as they head back into turn number 1. So smart move by these two right there, so stay in line like they are, because the more they race side by side, the more they lose contact with the guys in front of them.
Back up front, I'm looking at Peterson. I know they're teammates, but he's really catching him down in the turn right here. I think the draft is really helping him out on getting to his teammate. But as you're saying about trying to get around people, I think at this point in the race, if I was a driver, I'd have to think, man, there's not really a chance in heck that I'm going to really be able to get up there at this point without scraping the wall or just really trying. So I think the next biggest thing as a driver to think about right now is your pit stop and when to take it, because that could be a big deal. Oh wow, Corey Henry, he got real loose off of 2 right there. He's going to lose a lot of time, but you know, he's not going to lose a position, but he was right there with the leaders about 4/10 back, and he's going to be at least a second back now after that small little mistake off of 2.
And it's those mistakes that'll add up over the course of a run if we stay green, because we're already now 15 laps behind us in tonight's just 62-lap affair at Michigan International Speedway. So if we continue to stay green like this, Corey Henry, that mistake cost him 0.8 of a second. If you want to feel better about yourself, just keep those leaders in sight. Don't lose track of them, and it kind of gives you some motivation to continue on through the run. It is still all Seth the Merchant, and it is still all Christian Peterson. The 32, the 7 run. They run 1-2 right now at Michigan International Speedway. We'll take a quick opportunity, step aside, green flag pit stops. Not all that far away. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Roddcar Truck Tour on iRacing Live. We're back live at the virtual Michigan International Speedway, where Christian Peterson, your pole sitter, has taken the race lead back from teammate Seth DeBurchin. It really does not change the complexion so far of this race because they're both 1-2. They're both still now 1.7 seconds in front of Corey Henry. The number 12 continues to ride P3 at a Henry Malone company on back, but pit stop's going to begin just shy of the 1/3 mark, the 32. Bringing it in hard to lock it up a little bit, kick the back end sideways, an aggressive entry for your at-time second-place runner.
Yeah, it was Seth the Merchant deciding, obviously, a two-stop race for him. He's going to choose tires over everything else. I'm sure we'll see some guys further back in the field, guys maybe like Derek Walker or Rod Flagg try a one-stop race. It's going to be close, awfully close on fuel if they can make it to that halfway point. But I think for some of these guys, it is going to be way too close for comfort, so might as well come in a little bit early, make it a two-stop race, get 20 laps or so each run, and maximize the ability with their tires. And it was 4-tire stop for that 32, and we'll see if anybody else comes in this time.
You know what, Evan? I was just thinking, you got these guys out there. Somebody's going to try it. I mean, there's got to be. It may be somebody in the back. It may be Ramon Evans that might be hungry, or Jorgensen. You know, he's been close the last couple of weeks. But actually, just thinking about it, Jorgensen and Keese have just caught that pack that's been in front of them for most of the race. They ran them down over the course of the last 20 laps, basically. And they're actually moving up through the field decently now. Jorgensen up to 7th position, Keese up to 5th. Pretty much just picking them off at this point. They're running the fastest laps on the track. So it'll be interesting to see if somebody tries to stretch it.
The biggest thing that they're doing that's working for them is they're working together. We talked a lot about how it worked for Peterson and Merchant. Well, Thanani 4 started 7th. Jorgensen started 8th. They both moved up one spot, P6 and 7 now. But they're going to make it a good fight in a moment here with Ryan Keese, the 24, just in front of them, as well as the number 41, Ryan Pilon, as the 88 takes the spot away from Basilia. First time they've swapped the position amongst themselves while working together. It'll put the 94 back to P7 where he started. Now give Jorgensen a gain of 2, but they're not that far back for the 24, the 41. A little bit further of a stretch if you want to get up to Corey Henry, Casey Balone, and friends. Christian Peterson, though, staying out in the lead. We talk about teammates, Andy. Interestingly enough, DeMerchant came down at the 1/3 mark, which tells you it's going to be a two-stop call for him. Peterson, a team car, trying a different strategy, at least it looks like at this point, because now he's losing time to Seth. When you come down pit road, you get the fresher tires, your laps are better, which is why if you see somebody that you're running with pit, you want to come in basically the next time by to limit the damage. Peterson continues to stay out. He may be going off strategy from what that team truck is doing, and might try to do it on a one-stop call. We'll see. He'd have to make it to the halfway point, which would be 31 laps on a run, and he's not going to stretch it that far. He'll go 23 laps this time down to the pit lane. I'll be interested to see what benefit that gives him, because I would imagine it would put him well behind a Merchant.
Yeah, probably will. I mean, it's gonna, listen, being teammates, Seth the Merchant was such a commanding lead in the point standings. It's almost a race, a full race of points. So he really has nothing to lose trying this strategy. And being teammates, they were probably talking to each other, saying, hey, look, I'm going to try and make it. Ooh, that was a close one with the 88 there in the 41, getting awfully close off turn 2. But you talk about that. You talk about, something like that, them saying, hey, you try it on one stop, I'll try it on 2, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really think that the pit stops right now. I think if I was teammates, I would have came in together like you guys were saying. I mean, that was a really interesting call for sure. But I really like these guys staying out, to be honest. I mean, the short pit is nice. You're faster, and maybe you might be faster than everybody else in the long run. But going only one stop, I think, trumps that. I mean, we're almost halfway. And I think these guys are going to make it. I really do think these guys are going to make it on fuel. I mean, they really got to push it close. But one stop over 2 stops is way faster than faster tires, at least in a shorter race like this. If it was a longer race, I think they made quite a good decision at the end of a race like this.
We'll see drivers continue to dwindle by the wayside and drop down to the pit lane. Casey Balone has taken over the race lead since then. Again, he was running in third where he started. P1 and P2 both came down to the pit lane. We would imagine both on a two-stop strategy. Malone sitting about 5 laps out from what the magic fuel number would be if you're looking to make an equidistance opening and closing run. 31 laps each time will get you to the 62 lap total distance. That's the difference, though, between old tires and fresh tires. Josh Hanner and the number 10 Toyota. We saw him working on the outside of some 2 and 3 wide, a little bit deeper in the pack. He'll unlap himself the old-fashioned way this time by as he's going to catch up to Malone, and he'll make quick work on the outside of the racetrack. So it does cost you a lap to come down to the pit lane. I agree, though, with the consensus that Austin made, Andy, the fact that it's a shorter race. I like the one-stop strategy call. If we were talking about 100 laps, 120 laps, and maybe a two-stop call versus a 3 or 4-stop, maybe I'd be more inclined to like the tires, but I like the gamble of the guys staying out front. But that right there showed you how fast the tires are. The question is, are tires enough to make up for an entire cycle of pit stops that cost you almost a lap on time?
Yeah, I'll look at 2 guys that didn't go a lap down making their pit stop, Seth the Merchant and Christian Peterson. We saw Seth come in around lap 20, and then we saw Christian Peterson come around lap 25, and that 5-lap difference on racetrack was 4 seconds Seth the Merchant had over Christian Peterson. It's dropped down now to about 3.5 seconds. So Peterson a little bit faster on those 5-lap newer tires, I should say, but at the same time, it gave Seth the Merchant the advantage. He came out ahead of those guys. So he, along with Josh Hanner, only 7 seconds back, and Christian Peterson, those guys, they made the call to come down early. They got a lot of time to make up if they're going to make it on one, or if they're going to make one more pit stop as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this actually shakes out. But I'm surprised at the call that Peterson made to come down on 25 rather than stay till lap 30. And that just seems, if you're going to stay that long, why not stay till the midway point?
Yeah, and you talk about, you got guys left. You got Ryan Pilon, Jorgensen, Chaburko, Busiala, Wofford, a couple others that still are out there. And they're about 26, 25 seconds ahead. 25 seconds right now, Seth the Merchant. So that's a pretty good distance. So, if they're able to stick it out another lap or two, which here comes the 88 and the 3 at the same time, they might not be able to get in. Chaburko smoking those tires. And those guys are going to come down the pit road. We got one car that went around self-spin on the backstretch, Larry Camp. He is taking it to the garage already, unfortunately, self-spin. But you see those guys coming down pit road. Ryan Pilon's still out there right now. He is trying to stretch it as far as he can. He might be able to make it if he can go at least this lap, maybe one more.
I'm surprised that there's no penalty on the 3 of Brandon Chaburko because, good thing he was taking 4 tires anyways because those things are flat spotted and done for. And he was at 60 at the line. It's a 55 pit mile speed. I know you get a little bit of leeway and all of that. It was close, though, I'll say that much. Ryan Piland, he's going to have to come down to the pit lane at lap number 30. He'll complete 30 laps on this opening stint. He'll have to go 32 on the second. Andy Kessler, I think he might prefer a caution flag if he wants to be able to make it to the end. A lot of these guys, if they're running it to the extreme, we saw Jorgensen and others come down the last time around. 29 laps in, they'd have to go 33. With that being said, they're probably going to be on fumes come down to the end of this one. And you see the 71 Rodney Wofford, he just got turned. It looked like coming into his stall, and coming out of his stall was Glenn Hedrick, who got him in the right rear, took him around with him. Going to be minor damage on both of those guys.
Yeah, that was a huge call, or a huge mistake right there. The 7 was caught up with that, and he's going to lose a ton of time there on pit road, and that's definitely not what the 7 wanted. Running in the top 5, top 10 here all night long, and now he's going to suffer probably the most out of this, and probably put him outside the top 15 here. And he'll be lucky to be on the lead lap when he comes back out. So that's something the 7 of Rodney Wofford definitely didn't want to see is everything cycling through now. It's going to put that 32 truck, Seth the Merchant, back in the race lead. But he's only about 8 seconds away from making his second, or eight laps from making his next pit stop too.
Yeah. And that is definitely one of those weird things to happen on pit road. I mean, whenever I went back and looked at it, it looked like he had slammed his brakes. He realized his pit stall was too late, and then the truck behind him really couldn't see what was going on. I have to go back and talk about Seth DeMerchant and Christian Peterson's strategy, though, being the only two cars to pit early. And I think at this junction, you can tell that unless there's a caution that comes out before they pit, I don't know if it was such a good idea to come down. Although, I mean, maybe it'll work with the way the tires are going, but I mean, they are being caught right now by the rest of the field, and they still have to pit, and the rest of these guys will for sure make it.
Halfway point coming and gone, and the cycle does put Seth DeMerchant back up to the front of the field. Let's take a look at your iRacing.com midway race break, presented to you by iRacing, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. DeMerchant P1, the 7 with Christian Peterson to P2. We're back to where we were about 15 laps ago. Josh Hanner now runs in third. Corey Henry scored into P4, third and fourth, guys, over 11 seconds behind. That's the difference on the strategy, with Casey Malone rounding out your top 5. Brandon Jaburko is 6th, 7th right now is Ryan Keese. Jorgensen 8th, 9th is Basilia. Ryan Pyland rounding out Andy through our top 10.
Yeah, and 11th right now on the board, the 34 is Sean Bowney. 12th is Ramon Evans. Derek Walker in the 20 runs 13th. 14th goes to Mark Emery. Rodney Wofford with that trouble he had on pit road drops him back to 15th place. 16th, last truck on the lead lap is Rod Flagg. And you got Glenn Hedrick, 1 lap down in 17th. 1 lap down also for Ray Rittenauer. He's in 18th. And then you get Larry Camp, who had that self-spin off of turn number 2. He is 6 laps down in 19th. 20th is Brandon Monsivice, and Josue Ramirez is done for the night. He is behind the wall, 24 laps down in 21st.
And that rounds through your field. Your iRacing Midway Race Break comes to a draw. If you want more information on the wide variety of racing possibilities on the web, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today. So back to square one. How the strategy is going to play out, we don't know, but it is Seth DeMerchant leading the way with 1 pit stop to the book, and he's on a 2-stop strategy. 1 more to come, and for those 11 plus seconds behind, they hope to stretch it from here on out with the field. We'll take this opportunity as we quit counting up. We start counting down to step away and go LSRTV non-stop so you don't miss a moment of the action from Michigan International Speedway. You're watching the Roddcar Truck Tour on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
The 2016 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is all about change. New teams, new drivers, new tracks, even a new logo. And oh yeah, there's a brand new car. After 5 years of competition, we say goodbye to the Williams FW31 and we say hello to the McLaren MP430. But this isn't just a brand new car, it's a whole new ballgame. And with it, we bring new excitement, new strategies, new technology. For example, energy recovery and drag reduction systems. There's a new way of thinking about racing, and for all the drivers participating, it's back to the drawing board, wiping the slate clean in the ever-consuming pursuit of perfection. One little slip-up, one wrong move on track, one poor strategy call, and it's over. That's the difference between coming up short and becoming champion and being $10,000 richer to boot. So yeah, change is in the air, but we're going to start getting answers on the 27th of February as the 7th year of iRacing World Championship competition kicks off. And you won't miss a thing, with every single race live on iRacing Live, coverage brought to you by Racebot TV. So join us fortnightly from 1:30 p.m. GMT.
Battle for the race lead commences once again, and it is Christian Peterson in the P-Money Design Chevrolet back in front of the Michigan 124 lap traffic. Hello, to the inside they go. Evasive move by Peterson. He's not happy on the radio, and DeMerchant will split the gap, go right back to P1. So Peterson's late call on a one-stop strategy wasn't all that bad of an idea, Andy, and almost got junked there just as we came back. A close call that'll stop your heart for a minute, but they both stay P1 and P2, and now Peterson, again, fresher tires by about 5 laps. He should be able to get back to his teammate Seth the Merchant. But where are we looking at on fuel-wise? These guys, we know they have to come back down, but it sounds like most people that tried the one-stop strategy but came up a little bit shy, 28, 29 laps before they hit the pit lane, it doesn't sound like they're going to make it. They're going to have to come down and get fuel only as we go side by side again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we watch this battle for the lead. Who's going to do what? And we saw the 32 come down on lap 20. Well, he's already bested that now here as we work lap 42. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that 32 or 71 start to come down pit road here. There's no way that they can make it from lap 20 all the way to the end. So they are going to have to pit again. The question is when they do it and how much fuel or how many tires they take. So they might be able to, they might try stretching this run and then just come in for fuel only. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out here. They do only have now an 8-second lead over that third spot of Corey Henry. So we saw Corey Henry also come in somewhere around that lap 26, 27 mark as well. So all these guys are going to have to make some sort of pit stop at the end. There's only 2 of them, though, Austin, that might have an opportunity to make it to the end.
Yeah, and those 2 are Ryan Pilot and Frank Basilia. They're running in 7th and 8th place, but they're 14 and 13 seconds back. And I think the 41 is really losing the 94 right here. Unless he's saving right now, I mean, I think this is just what I think. I think those 2 are going to make it the rest of the way. I think they're going to shock the whole racing community right here, and I really think it's actually going to be Ryan Pilot, because I think he's saving a little bit right now, and I think he's going to come right back to it when the race is starting to end, and then he has something for him in the end. It doesn't have to save.
We will see, because DeMerchant is on the pit lane at the moment. He now goes out, and we know that he's good to the end because he has just 18 laps remaining, and Peterson comes down immediately the lap following. So the P-Money Design Chevrolet is in. Doesn't want to stick around and wait as long this time through. He wants to be out there because they plan on battling for the race win amongst themselves. But the strategy games continue to play back in the pack. Chiburko will now assume the top spot. The Goodwrench Service Plus Chevrolet, we assume one of the drivers that still needs to come down pit road as well.
Yeah, he does, and you can see right behind him, you got Frank Basilia and Ryan Pilot, the 2 that we think can make it to the end. And they right now up there 2nd and 3rd, and you see that Christian Peterson just coming off of pit road now, and you got the 32 of Seth the Merchant now behind the race leaders, 30 seconds back. That's a lot of time to make up in the last just under 20 laps to go.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I was just listening in and on in the 88 radio, and he was 2 laps short as we got a caution. That's going to throw a wrench in it all over the place. It looks like it's going to be down in turn number 4. Mark Emery around on the bottom of the racetrack currently. It looks like just a self-spin. Got a little bit loose and got around. Unfortunately, the car coming to his outside there decided to trigger the caution, Sean Boundy, and that is going to bring us to our first caution on the evening. Forget all that pit strategy. Yeah. Now we're going to see who basically can race the hardest.
And forget what we've been talking about for the last half hour, and we didn't even get a chance, Andy, to jinx it and say that the caution flag could start to mix this thing up, because everybody got spread out, and again, Michigan's a track that has a green flag atmosphere to it. This really does change everything, because Chiburko is in the race lead. Okay, but you've got Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, other people that have pitted that are still on the lead lap. The question is, Chiburko's going to have to pit. Do they pit, or are they okay with being at a 2-lap tire disadvantage to stay out and go back up in front of those guys that'll end up having a little bit better tires behind them? There's a lot that can go down now. You can take 2 tires. I wouldn't suggest it, but somebody might try to gas and go it here. We'll see.
You know what, honestly, with Christian Peterson, Seth the Merchant, where they run right now, 7th and 8th, I really think the speed that those guys have and how fast they are week in and week out, I think you will see them come down pit road here. I think you'll see them take the 4 tires. I think for those two guys in the last 20 laps or so to make their way through the field from 7th and 8th, I think that's very easily done for those two.
I really think that they should stay out, Christian Peterson and Seth Merchant, because they're going to lose a lot of spots. I don't think that they. I really think that they should stay out because I think that's their only chance of really winning. If they pit, they're going to be behind everybody, and I can't see them really making it through the field because I haven't really seen it all day. I have not seen really big passes for the lead.
It's really been them up front for a lot of it, and I think I took a look. I think it was like 10, 15 laps into this race, and I said, let's try to find some big movers, and there really weren't any. So that tells me track position is important, and Divergent and Peterson, they are going to stay out and go to the top spots. Sean Bounty, a little bit of strategy on the pit lane. He takes right side tires only. Most everybody else is going to come down to the pit lane, take 4 tires. Brandon Chuberko included in that conversation. But I think it will be Peterson going to the point. Rittenauer, Walker, and Hedrick going to stay out for a wave by. It is going to be Peterson P1 and DeMerchant P2. When we go for the restart, it'll be a familiar position for them to be in. But the first time tonight, again, they have been, I think, it's safe to say, strategy aside, Andy, the fastest 2 drivers on track. Not that, they're at a disadvantage to an extent because they do have really fresh tires, but they're not going to have the ability that the guys behind them are going to do to really be able to get at it in the first 1 or 2 laps where your tires are at a premium. The people behind them are going to have that advantage because they just took tires. So while it isn't a big difference, it could be a major factor when it comes down to this restart.
Yeah, it definitely could be. I mean, listen, honestly, how fast they were and how fast they were pulling away from these guys during the course of the race, I really think that, coming down... Listen, they made the call to stay out. We'll see what happens. But I really think that they, even being only in 7th and 8th spot, if they were down in the 15s, 16 spots, somewhere around there, then I could see staying out. But they were already inside the top 10, close to a top 5. The way those guys are on pit road, they probably would have gained a spot or 2 from all these other guys on pit road. So they still would have been in the top 5. I really think that it wouldn't have hurt them if they came down pit road to get the same tires as everybody else. But only being out there for 2 laps, it shouldn't make that much of a difference. But obviously, we will only be able to tell once this thing is back under green.
And the big thing, Andy, is they took 2, if that. So now these guys behind them are going to have all 4 brand new tires from 6 on place back where Brandon Chaburko sits. Sean Bounty took 2. He sits in 5th. I think Corey Henry the same. But Frank, Brandon, Ryan, all those guys on back throughout the rest of the lead lap all have 4 new tires, and we definitely saw how much that makes a difference. So, even though they've been in class of the field most of the night, these tires here at the end could pay costly for both of them.
And we know that once you get 1 yellow, there's nothing that promises that you're going to really get things back in a wave, because I said that restarts are important and that watch things early, but now you're going to put these guys in a spot where they're going to restart with the checkered flag waving just about 11 laps away from them. We'll see this time by. They're going to take 13 laps to go, and if the lights go off, it'll be a 12-lap to go restart. A couple of wave bys still yet to go by. Ray Rittenauer and Derek Walker, as well as Glenn Hedrick, Rod Flag, they have both already been waved around the pace car. They're going to join back up with the lead lap. Is this the final yellow that we're going to see? That's going to be the question, because if it is not... obviously, Peterson and Divergent going to be in a good spot, Andy, because even if the guys behind him have a tire advantage, they might not have enough time to get to them. The draft is a big thing here, sure, but this isn't a track like a Richmond where you can just throw it to the guys inside and, dive bomb the corner, because, you're already holding the gas pedal all the way down. It doesn't go any further. You have to build up some speed as the lights go out. You have to build up some momentum in order to try to make a move. They might have to get desperate if they don't get this entire 12-lap window to do battle. If they get even 1 yellow, you're looking at maybe 2 more starts of about 4 laps each through to the checkered flag with the yellow laps factored in there. You have to get after it, and I would not be surprised if we see a little bit more of the door banging that we saw earlier.
Oh, definitely. You get down to the end of the race, that's definitely what you're going to see as these guys start to amp up the pressure. Look at the 3 truck. Brandon Chaburko started 20th. He's up there right now in 6th. You know he's going to be all out here at the beginning of this, trying to get as many positions and even battle for that race lead. So this is going to be a fun restart here, and no, they probably could get another one before this thing's over, especially how close these guys are. They can sniff that race lead, and they know those guys up front have stayed out. So you're going to have some aggressive driving, I think, here on this restart.
We're going to find out. It could be for the final time tonight. The pace car going to get down, get out of the way. The 7 with Christian Peterson. He'll be in control of the field just as they were at the start. It's Peterson 1, Merchant 2, Malone in 3rd. Green flag flies from Michigan, 12 to go.
Watch that 12 car. He's giving a huge push. I'm really thinking he's going to go to the point. Maybe he goes 3 wide here in the first corner, but I'm watching him, guys. I really think the 12 car has a huge advantage going here.
Number 3, he's going to go up the middle, 3 wide. Brandon Chaburko outside is Henry. To the bottom is Sean Bounty. Bounty again took 2 tires on the pit lane, and so far didn't work out for him. But a quarter spinner behind your leaders.
Yeah, it's a 24 of Ryan Keese there. Self-spin off of turn number 2. Caution will not come out, so these guys way off the racetrack. They'll be able to get that thing right and back going. But look at this Hornet's nest we got up front here as the battle for the lead starts to really heat up. Seth the Merchant cuts the nose off of that 52 truck, and now they're going to split it up and go side by side for that second spot back into turn number 1.
All those guys looking for their 3rd win. Malone looking for his 4th, but I think that 3 truck, Brandon Chaburko, 4 fresh tires. He's going to make his way up through here in the next couple laps. He was just stuck behind those guys a minute ago. Corey Henry still making pretty good time on the outside as well.
The 52 challenge to the bottom as Christian Peterson after Seth found out the grass wasn't the best passing lane, and he'll try to cross him over again in the center. Swipes to the back bumper, now to the inside. The 71 shuts the door again, and to Merchant, he'll slide back to the outside of the racetrack at 10 laps to go. Teammates no more. Peterson to Merchant doing battle nose-to-nose up front.
Yeah, but you know what? This is confidence between teammates. Yeah, they're going to battle and race hard for that race win, but you know what? They have the confidence in each other that they're not going to take each other out. Look at the 32 with a good run off of turn number 2. Seth the Merchant looking and looking and looking. Just can't quite get enough speed right now to make a challenge for that race lead, but they've actually started to pull away from Casey Malone. There's about a 3 truck length disadvantage right now for Casey Malone as they exit turn number 4, and that battle for the race lead still continues to be hot.
We have about a little less than 9 laps left now, 8 laps left, and I'm still looking at Chaburko. He has plenty of time. Yeah, those 2 up front have no tires on that stop, but I really do think that Chaburko has something for these guys, permitting he can at least get by the 12 car there. If he can't, or the 52 car of Casey Malone, if he can get by him, I think he can hunt him down. But he's not giving up. He almost gives him a shove right there in turn 3. He's got to get by him. He's got to get it by him now.
And the 12 slid high behind that time off the quarter. Pilot will swing to the inside. In a battle, that's for 4th, and there's the contact.
Oh, that's going to be a caution.
Highland back up on a racetrack into the outside wall. Caution will fly hard and back
huge
there.
Hit.
And a huge wreck. Rod Flag, the number 26, is destroyed at the entry to the pit lane. So good for so long. Could not keep that truck up against the outside retaining wall. Yellow was out. And Flag went as low as he could and absolutely plowed him and went nose first into the inside fence, up and over. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will set us up for one final dash to the checkered flag with all of your major players still in it. A big impact behind, though. Saw that one brewing for a little while with the 41.
Yeah, we saw that brewing for a while. Those guys were battling hard, 3 wide at some points, going for all those spots there. And you know, that 41 of Ryan Pineland was trying to get everything he possibly could. He was in the catbird seat, I think, if this thing was green the whole way through, being probably one of the 2 guys that could make it to the end. And that all got thrown out with that first caution. And there he was trying to make up as much time as he could. And he was pushing it right there, but just some contact on the front straightaway. And what a huge hit by the 26. Rod Flag, just nowhere to go. Tried and tried and tried to go down there, but it looks so easy from when you're watching it on the screen, like, oh, just turn to the right and go high, but it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, he had already committed to go to the bottom because he was up at the top, and as Evan noted in the beginning of the broadcast, there is a significant amount of banking at this track, and well, when you don't have much control of your car, you're going to slide down the track and have issues.
For
The lights on top of the base car. We wait for them to go out and see when we will go back.
Mixed
Green
emotions
flag
on pit
racing. Pit strategy going to play in yet again, though. We'll see a couple of guys towards the back come down. Mostly drivers that do come down are drivers with some damage. DeMerchant thought about it, but I saw behind him Casey Malone, the number 52 Chevrolet. He came down from third, but only one other driver came down with him. So I don't think he had the support that he needed to make a run. You're going to be looking at a 2-3 lap to go restart. Tires are good. I don't know if they're that good.
Well, you know what, honestly, he might be able to pick up a second on these guys. The problem is he's just going to have too much traffic to get around. So that was a bold call to come down with this many laps to go. Usually people like that track position this late in the race, but we're going to see what that 52 try. He's got nothing to lose. He's got 3 wins on the season, so we'll see what he can pull off here at the end.
Yeah, Andy, and really what I want to hear is I want to see if we can get Chubbs on the radio. Brandon Chaburko, this is Josh Wall up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I'm scared.
I want to know, you're sitting third here after we just saw Malone go down the pit road, and do you have anything for these front two between Peterson and DeMerchant? Well, it seems like we might have lost communication. Oh, no, there he is.
I'd say it's all going to depend on the restart. If I get a decent restart, I'll have a chance, but if them two are able to clear me, it's going to be between those two for sure.
I got you. It seems like it's been a little bit tighter throughout the run. The tires really gotten to the point where they're too heated up now that it's tight, or is you're pretty much full throttle still?
Oh, it's full mash IndyCar at Michigan. Here, it's not loose whatsoever. It's very neutral.
All right, Brandon. Well, we'll hope you get a chance to get around those guys and hopefully get a win away. Hopefully they don't go back to 3 victory lanes here on the season. So good luck here in the last couple laps. And Evan, a few laps left. I'm not sure. We got a couple people left. Brandon, one of them. I think Frank's in a good position. Maybe Jorgensen, but I think that's about it.
I think we're going to have 3 to go by my rough math. If the lights go off the next time by, we'll get lap 60, 61, and 62. Not guaranteeing, I will say, that we'll be green for the final 3 laps, but I'll say that it'll be 3 laps from when the pace car dives down to when they throw the checker. It may be alongside a yellow flag. Peterson has shut the door a couple of times on the 32 as at the Merchant, Andy, and I mentioned teammates know more, but you made a good point in the fact that because they're teammates, they can fight that a little bit more aggressively. Teammates in the trucks, teammates later on tonight for the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. So they know how each other drives, which is why they can go at each other. I don't know if I'd be doing that again, though, because they had plenty of guys coming up behind him. And Chaburko, who we thought was kind of stuck behind some traffic, is now going to be to the inside of row 2. That 71 has to make sure that he's not just looking at the 32.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. If he's more worried about the 32, then all of a sudden you're going to have the 3, and maybe with some help from Jorgensen or Frank Busilia pushing him through, you might see a whole different thing if these guys start racing each other like they were. But that doesn't, like we go back to it time and time again. Yeah, they're going to race each other. They even said it in their interviews. They're going to race each other so hard. Like I said, they have confidence in each other that they're not going to take each other out. So it's one of those things that they know that even though I'm going to drop it down in here on the inside, I know he's not going to come down on me, or I know he's not going to push up into me, because that's just, they race so much together. They know exactly what each other is capable of. That's why watching them race like that, teammates, throw it out the window. They're still teammates, but they're still competitors.
I think because of that, because of how they're gonna fight, I don't think either of them's gonna let either of them in, no matter who has the advantage. I really think Brandon has a really good chance of getting maybe a spot, or maybe even getting the victory here. There's too much on the line for these guys to give up anything for the other, and I think that's really what's going to open the door for Brandon. And I said in the beginning, I think all of us have at least at one point mentioned how restarts can be so pivotal about. The restarts can be so pivotal on these tracks, and also to look at the 10 car as well. He's definitely got a strong car with good tires on it, so it's going to be interesting to see. And it's not over until it's over.
He's alone at an accident. Now, out of the immediate picture, he finds himself back in a P11, and it's going to be Christian Peterson and Seth the Merchant, both in search of a third trip to victory lane in 2016. Everybody else behind him just wants one. The pace car going to get down and out of the way for the final time tonight. Green flag flies. 3 laps to go at Michigan, and 3 wide, 4 wide already. Jamerko tries to go 3 wide. The 88 and Jorgensen slides to his inside, and door banging on row 1, 2, and 3. Down to turn number 1, the advantage in favor of Peterson.
Yeah, look at the fresh tires in the back. Saw Corey Henry go way to the outside and go 3 wide, almost 4 wide there for a moment as well. So you're going to see them guys. Look at Jamerko, though, back up front. He's going side by side with that 32 for that second spot. All 5, the top 5 guys right there in the cluster, just as if they just started this race there on the back straightaway, and they're going back at it side by side for the race lead again. Top side, it's the Merchant. Bottom side, Peterson. He's got the advantage off turn 4.
You got 2 teammates, the 32, the 71. You got 3 behind them, the 3, the 88, and the 94. Let's see if they can get around. Door banging there, going into turn 1. They're definitely not giving it to each other, though.
It's far from done. Popsicle sticks in the air. Penultimate time in turn number 2. Side by side, the advantage in the run. Gonna go to Seth the Merchant. He'll pull half a truck length. Don't look now, but the 3 of Brandon Jamerko, Andy, he's not done yet. They want to make it to the white flag so they can race it to the checkered.
That they can, and right now through turns 3 and 4, the top 3 have started to pull away just a bit. Now Jamerko to the inside. He's going to try to make it 3 wide. He's going to get the door slammed on him here. It's a white flag is in the air, and we got a 3-truck battle now for the race lead. Coming to the finish line this one last time into turn number 1, and Seth the Merchant's going to take the high side, still trying to get that momentum. Jamerko in the 3, trying to get it off of turn number 2.
Somehow they haven't taken each other out. The Merchant gonna look to the inside. The 71, he'll block him all the way to the inside retaining wall, and now back out to the outside. 3 drivers, only 1 can prevail at a turn number 4. The 32 gives a shot to Peterson. One last dashed effort to the inside. It'll be a side-by-side finish. Peterson to Merchant, spin to the inside. Brandon Jamerko, checkered flag winner at Michigan.
Oh my gosh.
Finish right there.
I wanted to say that escalated quickly because they went to the inside like that, but it did not because they were absolutely at each other the entire time. And I said, I'd be careful if you keep swinging at each other like that. Jamerko in the right spot at the right time. I don't think Seth would have been even a gator if he went to the inside, Andy. We take a look at the replay now. He gave him a shot into turn 3. I just don't think he would have had the run, even if he went up the inside like that. Peterson wasn't going to let him see the light of day, though. He comes down to shut the door, and it was a little bit of the 32 turning him, and it was a little bit of the 71 coming down. They just ran out of mulligans, and they both spin to the inside. Brandon Jamerko, he'll coast right on through to his first checkered flag in 2016. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, you've got DeMerchant, who spins down into the inside grass, and he actually ends up at a pit road. Peterson ends up at the infield, and he'll actually be able to make it across the start-finish on in P6 somehow nonetheless, because they also piled him in back in turns 3 and 4 behind your leaders. But what an absolute thriller here on the last lap at Michigan.
Yeah, that was a great way to finish this race. And, man, some hard driving. You know what? I'm sure there's no hard feelings between those two either. Just going for the race win. I mean, that's what they do best. And they still end up with at least one of them, Christian Peterson, because he didn't go down pit road. He'll end up finishing 6th. So still a decent night for him. But you know what? Listen, those guys, it's checkers or wreckers for those guys, especially in the truck series. And that's exactly what they were going for right there. Dominating the race all night long, both of them. And now coming down to the end. Look at who's getting the victory lane tonight. It's going to be that 3 truck. So good job by Chiburko, just hanging on to it, staying behind these guys and letting them duke it out. And he ends up coming home with the victory.
I just want to say, who jinxed the 32 and the 71? Somebody said that they're not going to wreck each other. So I'm pretty sure one of us jinxed them coming out of turn 4.
Is anybody surprised that happened? Because I'm not.
No.
I'm surprised. Actually, I'll say I'm surprised it took that long to happen.
Yeah,
with all that blocking.
They were just diving across each other. I mean, I'm right there with you, Evan. I thought it was gonna happen eventually, but I was like, man, it doesn't happen. And at least, I mean, maybe on the last lap, that'd be pretty nice. But I mean, I was actually looking at the 3 car before any of the accidents, any of that happened. I thought he took a really weird entrance into 3, and I thought, if he would have taken a better entrance, they would have gonna fight for it. And I thought he could have had a really good run for third place or for a 3 wide finish, but that totally didn't happen. And 2 front runners definitely had other things in play. But wow, that's some crazy finishing, guys.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think he would have got it on sheer speed alone, but if Seth got next to him, he probably would have driven him all the way up to the outside fence, and who knows what was going to happen. Peterson tried the block. He'll get a P6. DeVernch wrecked. He'll get a P12. But Brandon Chiburko, your winner tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. We'll step away. We'll catch up with him, get you set for the second part of tonight's doubleheader, because we're just getting things warmed up. We got 3 races still to come, getting kicked off at 10 o'clock for the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series cumulative racing at the Talladega Superspeedway. But we'll be right back for the LSRTV post-race show from Brooklyn, Michigan. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Roddcar Truck Tour. Andy. We're back live at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, Austin Coop, and Josh Ball topside in the LSRTV broadcast tower. It's Brandon Chubhart Chiburko going to victory lane for the first time in 2016. We'll talk with him in a moment and more down in Gatorade Victory Lane. First, let's take a look at tonight's full race results from round number 9. Chiburko gets the win, 2/10 in front of Josh Hanner, and Frank Basilia was able to walk away on the podium. We'll catch up with all 3 of them in just a moment. Sean Boundy ends up P4. I said he was in some problems and ended up back in the pack a little bit. A good result for him after starting in 13th position. Jorgensen to P5. Your pole sitter, Christian Peterson, walking away with a P6 result. 7th, Ray Rittenauer. Derek Walker, 8th. Mark Emery, 9th. And Rodney Wofford through 10th.
11th on the board here tonight, Ramon Evans. Seth the Merchant finishes 12th. 13th goes to Corey Henry. Casey Malone is 14th. Ryan Keese will finish 15th. 16th goes to Glenn Hedrick. Ryan Pylan will finish 17th. 18th goes to Rod Flagg. Larry Camp finishes 19th. 20th goes to Brandon Monsivice. Josue Ramirez will round out the field in 21st. And now I think it's safe to say we can make our way to victory lane, and Evan has caught up with tonight's winner.
And I would argue, and I think that he'll agree, that 9 weeks is too long for Brandon Chiburko to get down here in Gatorade Victory Lane with us tonight, but he did it, and you had a front row seat at that one, Chums. I know that we always say whenever you guys are battling like that was at the end, that we had a pretty good view of it. I'd argue that you had a better view. Those guys were trying to take each other out. It just took them to turn 4 to get the job done, and you're in third there. You were able to walk away with the checkered flag. How was that final restart?
The final restart was crazy. Mark got a little bit of a better restart than I did. I threw the block on him on the initial restart to keep him behind me, and from there on out, I kind of wanted Seth and Christian to play it out, and my plan had actually worked out. I was somewhat surprised, I guess. I could tell by the way they were racing that I didn't think that they were going to be able to make it back to the line racing as hard as they were.
Surprise, surprise, they didn't. We said we were surprised it just took that long for the wreck to finally happen. This entire race, though, you started 20th out of the 21 drivers that took the green flag tonight to come home with the win. It's a track where you're basically on the throttle all the way through, except maybe if the tires are screaming for life there before a pit stop. From the back to the front, how was it?
It wasn't bad whatsoever. I took it easy the first 45 or 50 laps, I would say, and just bided my time and got a good pit stop with Mark. I want to say we pit around lap 30 and had a pretty good pit stop, made up some time on some folks, and it was just very easy. It was a smooth sailing race, honestly. It wasn't too crazy up until, honestly, that very final restart that we had. I know that this outcome was probably, I guess, better for everyone to watch at home, but I honestly would have liked to have seen if I could have made it on fuel if it would have went green all the way.
And the fuel strategy was definitely working out there, because we know that a bunch of people were close, and a lot of people were looking at a stop and go late to caution flag, mixes it up a little bit, but you prevail in the end. Anybody you want to give a call to before we let you get going here? You guys got another race coming up, less than an hour right here on LSRTV, so we'll let you get going for that, but anybody you want to give a call to?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting and everything that you guys do every week. Rod for running the series. He pours a lot of... I gotta thank Goodwrench for coming on board. And, yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, hey, congratulations, and good luck. Hopefully we'll talk with you here in about 2 hours or so.
All right, thank you, Evan.
That is tonight's winner from Michigan. Now 5 winners through 9 weeks. Brandon Chaburko, checkered flag at number 1 in 2016. And another driver that really, again, wasn't in a lot of the conversation there late. Josh Hanner ends up P2 tonight. Did Andy Kessler's caught up trackside with him.
Yeah, I've caught up with Josh Hanner here down on pit road, and it's been quite a while since we've seen that 10 truck here on the Roddcar Truck Tour, Josh, and kind of taking a little break. You come back, you finish second your first race back. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's a pretty good race. It's good to be back. Took a little bit of time off and had a little fun tonight. I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to finish second there at the end. I thought I was going to get, 4th or 5th, but, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah, it definitely was. Walk us through that final restart. I mean, you had a fast truck all night. We saw you making some moves early on in the race, too, even on the high side. Seemed like that 10 truck was really hooked up. But talk about that last restart, what your mindset was going in and trying to just, I guess, get the best possible finish, and it ultimately ended up pretty good once those guys wrecked.
Yeah, I think I restarted 6th or 7th, somewhere in there, and I was just like, I'm going to do all I can to get top 3 and get an interview here on my first night back, and I didn't get the best start. I was kind of behind Frank, and I went a little late, so I lost 2 spots right there in the first turn, and just got them all back and wound up in position, and then got to 4th and going into 3, and I was like, well, this is where it's going to finish, and then I saw Seth and Christian have their little thing there, so it sucks for them. They were definitely the class of the field tonight, like usual, but I'll take a second. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, so welcome back to the series, and to get back, you come back with a 3rd place or 2nd place finish here on the night at Michigan, and sponsor shout-outs. Who helps you get it done?
Thank you guys for doing the broadcast, and Rod putting on the show, and give a shout out to all my teammates over at Slip Angle Motorsports, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Sounds good. Hopefully we can get you on the air and the interview in that one as well, and good luck with that here coming up just in a moment.
Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
There you have it. Josh Hanner coming home in second. A welcome back finish for that driver of the number 10. And I'm going to throw it down further down pit road. And we got Austin Coop. He's caught up with our third place finisher, Frank Busilia.
Yeah, I'm with Frank Brasilia, driver of the Team ASC Chevy Silverado. Frank, with about a couple laps to go, you seem to be in a really good position. And then with about 1 lap to go, you get passed by Josh Hanner, and you sit in 5th place. And then in turn 3, you seem to be the last guy around. There's carnage behind you. The 6 cars behind you have meleeed their way out of the race, and you sit in a pretty interesting predicament coming out of 4 with 2 cars spinning the inside and getting the last podium spot. Go through with us those last couple laps, because I know they were probably the most entertaining from your point of view.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the last few, I know Seth and CP, man, they were digging up there, giving it all they had. It's what the fans want. Fans deserve that. But yeah, Hanner whizzed by me. I thought he had taken new tires or something. But I was just overdriving it, trying to keep up. And podium ain't bad. It's not kind of how you want to do it, but I guess, that's how it works sometimes. But it was fun. Everybody was digging those last 10 or so laps. I just really, really wish that caution hadn't come out. Tylen and I, we pitted a lap later than everybody else, and we were good on gas, so didn't want to see that yellow. But P3 is not bad. I'll take that.
Yeah, it seemed at one point in the race, we actually mentioned you and Pylon in the broadcast about you two were the only ones who were good on fuel. You were close, but you were the only two, and you had a very good distance between you and Pylon, and it seemed like you really could have ran away with it. That strategy was doing you some dividends for sure. Did you guys come up with that together? Did you guys just happen to be on the same strategy at that point?
Well, the group around us, they were pitting a little early, and when we got to 28 or 29 and saw we could go another lap or two, me and Pi, we just stayed out as long as we could. We couldn't go any more than what we did. And then we left the pits and kind of, 75-80% throttle down the straights, just saving a little bit. It was going to be really close. We were, at the current rate, we were probably going to run out somewhere around turn 4, maybe partway down the front stretch. It was right on the number. So it would have been an entertaining finish, to say the least. It was, everybody had a different strategy. Those races are fun. Really unfortunate the caution had to come out and kind of reset everybody, and everybody's going crazy, which they should be. Everybody's got the fresh nuggies, but it's always fun no matter what. It's what you make of it.
Well, a 3rd place, not too shabby. Maybe you would have won the race if it was green all the way. But we'll let you go. But is there anyone you want to thank and before we let you go?
Just want to thank, of course, got to thank my wife for letting me play virtual NAS trucks and virtual NAS cars on Friday evenings. And big shout out and thank you to Rod Flag for putting the league on, as always. LSRTV, got Evan, Austin, Andy, Laura. Always thinking of Laura. Hope she's doing well. Cisco on the cameras, I believe. And just thank all my family and friends for watching, and we'll see if we can get them in the Cup Series.
Coming home 3rd, a very humble Frank Basilia. I'm going to throw it back up to you, Evan, back up in the booth.
Thank you. That is your top 3 finishers from tonight's race at Michigan International Speedway. Tuberco Hanner come home 1-2. Basilia rounded about inside the top 3. Josh, we got to let everybody go, so he's taking off and he's getting ready to buckle up for a couple of exciting events here tonight coming up at Daytona International Speedway. Before we step away, just about 30 minutes till we hop back on the air for the second part of our Friday night doubleheader. Want to close things up here. So Austin and Andy, I'll go to you guys for your final thoughts.
I think it was a great race. I knew those two up front were going to battle like they did. Unfortunately, they made contact, and that put the end to it. But, of course, there was a few guys right there to capitalize on that mistake. And, of course, Brandon Tuberco coming up with his first win of the season. Took a while. Not used to seeing that 3-truck take so long in the season to get a win. But he's back in victory lane, so maybe that can start his streak like he had last season, winning, I think it was 3 or 4 in a row. So we'll see if that 3 truck can continue on next week.
Yeah, I think tonight's race was just a good lesson to know that if you try and push your limit, sometimes you may go over, and I think those two definitely found where that was, and hopefully in the next race they'll know where that is, and I think they'll laugh it off after the night's over. But no, definitely a good race today.
Close in on the Ice Super Chase at the Ice Super Speedway Roddcar Racing Series at a big step in that direction. Tonight's cumulative event from Daytona, that one begins at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, just a little bit, I'd say pretty much right on the money, with about 30 minutes right back here live on LSRTV and iRacing Live. We hope to see you then. Until next time, this round of the Roddcar Truck Tour goes to the books. We'll see you next Friday as well for race number 10. Until next time, on behalf of everybody at LSRTV, for our producer tonight, Cisco Scaramouche, and on behalf of myself, Evan Pasoko, along with Andy Kessler, Austin Coop, and Josh Ball, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and congrats to Brandon Chubhart Jaburko, winner at Michigan International Speedway. Good night from Brooklyn, Michigan, and we'll see you in just a bit. Part 2, plenty of action. The World Center of Racing is next, right here on LSRTV.